Royal finally put the safety of the passengers first, and spring break is upon us. Ahoy, travelers! It's Amy here with your weekly Cruise News Roundup and my thoughts on some of the biggest stories of the week. I talked last week a little bit about what has been going on in Haiti, with gangs taking over the capital city of Port-au-Prince. I've been very disappointed in Royal Caribbean's decision to continue making stops in Labadee. While it is on the north side of the island and Port-au-Prince is on the south side, the government has basically collapsed with the Prime Minister forced to step down, there are no flights going in or out, and violence continues to rise. Partway through the week, Royal made the decision to cancel any excursions into the island, with passengers not allowed to leave their private resort. A small concession in my mind, considering the U.S. government issued a level 4 travel advisory, the highest one possible, over a week ago, telling all U.S. citizens to get out immediately. And then you have a cruise line stopping there multiple times a week. I honestly wonder how many people on the ships docking at Labadee over the last week or so were even aware of what's been going on in Haiti. I get it, not everyone stays up to date on even major news stories. And to be fair, I don't know what Royal was telling their passengers, how much information they were passing along prior to allowing guests off in Labadee. But finally, late this week, Royal has notified guests on ships bound for Labadee that they are suspending all calls to the resort. Part of their letter to passengers read, "Due to the evolving situation in Haiti and in an abundance of caution, we're temporarily suspending our visits to Labadee for our entire fleet." Meanwhile, some may be wondering about Carnival and if they're planning to avoid their own private resort on the island of Hispaniola. Amber Cove is located on the Dominican Republic side of the island and is thus not being affected by the gang violence in Haiti. The border from Haiti to the DR is not easily crossed with heavy security. Now, John Heel did address this on his Facebook page this week, saying, "The reason I'm writing about Haiti is because some of you were asking me if this will affect the calls in Dominican Republic, specifically Amber Cove. The answer is no. Our port of call in the Dominican Republic are located significant distances from the border with Haiti, and the border is monitored by law enforcement. We monitor the local destinations of our ships, relying on government and law enforcement expertise. Our security term is determined that we can continue with our planned visits to the Dominican Republic as there is no threat to public safety." With the airlines shut down, they are still trying to get people at least helicoptered into the DR, so it is a relatively safe place. The border is fairly secure there. Now, it seems that Royal waited so long to cancel stops in Labadee due to its distance from the capital city where the violence has been centered, as well as the security they have for the resort. Now, this includes barriers and security guards. While Labadee is over 6 hours from Port-au-Prince, it's only 128 miles away. Now, my guess is the infrastructure and roads make that 128-mile drive a much slower one than it would be here in the U.S. because 128 miles wouldn't take much more than 2 hours here. And in my opinion, it isn't far enough away from a gang of violent criminals that have left the capital littered with bodies. Were you scheduled for a stop in Labadee? If so, are you relieved or disappointed in the itinerary change? I actually think the situation in Haiti is going to have yet another impact on cruising. Currently, the U.S. government is preparing for a possible mass marine migration of Haitians attempting to make it to Florida shores. Anyone who follows cruise news, and many who have been on cruises, will know that it isn't unusual for a cruise ship to need to stop and rescue people attempting to make that journey to the U.S. from places like Cuba and Haiti. I think that any ship sailing the waters in that area is going to be more and more likely to come across Haitians attempting to make it to Florida. Maritime law requires all ships to lend aid to anyone in peril on the sea, so I do believe we will see more rescues and possible delays for ships in the Caribbean. Well, spring break is upon us, and that means many cruises turn into party cruises. This is especially true for the more inexpensive Carnival cruises that fit into a college student's budget and spring break schedule. So think 4 and 5 day cruises that leave out early in the week, especially out of Florida ports, as well as Baltimore and Charleston. Well, Carnival knows exactly how prone they are to issues with spring break party cruises and has taken some steps to mitigate some of the issues by sending out a 2-page letter to cruisers set to embark during March and April. Guests have been told that they need to behave or face the consequences. Now, one of my favorite lines from the letter is, "We want you to have a fun vacation, but please remember a cruise ship is a shared space." Now, this is one of my biggest issues with some people I have cruised with, the inability to remember that they are sharing a space and they aren't vacationing alone. The letter goes on to say, "Our experience has taught us that everyone has a better time when children are supervised, noise in the hallways is kept to a minimum, guests follow cues, and that a spirit of community and neighborliness is shown by all." I agree. Now, guests are also reminded of prohibited items like Bluetooth speakers, stating that they would be confiscated. I'm not sure if the line's finally cracking down on this previously added restriction or if it's just spring break. It wasn't that long ago that Bluetooth speakers were added to the prohibited items list, but it never seemed like a true crackdown occurred. Similarly, there will be no saving a lounger and walking away for half a day, with Carnival stating that if it is clear that guests are not actively using the pool or surrounding areas, they will remove unattended towels and belongings to be picked up at the nearby towel hut. Now, if you'll remember, we talked about this recently. John Heald brought this up during one of his walk-arounds on a cruise that he was on recently, showing exactly how they were going to be doing this. Policies on tobacco and alcohol were also reiterated. These are spring break cruises after all. Now, have you ever been on a cruise for spring break or wound up on one with spring breakers? Let me know your experience in the comments below. I'm pretty sure if I was going to cruise during spring break, I would not be doing so on any of the budget or resort style lines. And I think I'd definitely choose a premier line like Princess or Celebrity. Now, personally, I think this letter would be a good reminder to send out for every cruise. I have a feeling most people aren't reading the prohibited items list or delving into that cruise contract very well. And a list of what isn't allowed would probably benefit all cruises. I came across 2 different individuals on my last cruise with Bluetooth speakers wandering around blasting their music for all to have to listen to. Both these encounters were on embarkation day on the Jubilee, and I never came across it again. So I'm not sure if we just never crossed paths again or if a crew member shut it down. There was so much more news I could have talked about today, but I honestly wasn't even sure I'd be able to put out a video or not. Many may not realize this, but I work nights, which sometimes makes getting out a last-minute video hard to do on the weekends. Yesterday, after I got off work, in the morning, Mom and I headed to the big city to run our errands and get our nails done. I love living in the country, but it does mean having to make a 3-hour round trip to the city whenever you want to access a lot of different stores or a quality nail tech. We make this trip every 2 or 3 weeks, and by the time I get home on Friday evenings, I have been awake for well over 24 hours, and it just makes it hard to have the time or mental stamina to prep, record, and edit a video. In fact, we stopped on the way home at Walmart to get just a few things. I had to get a few things, including cat litter completely out for my shop cats. So I had to stop. And I'm like, okay, I want to get a couple things that I've had on my list for a while. Bread flour. And so we're there in the aisle and we're looking at the flour, and Mom's like, it's right there. And I'm looking right at it and I go, where's the bread flour? Because I couldn't see it. I could not see it. And this is what happens when you're my age and you haven't slept for over 24 hours. You just cannot function. By the time I got home and got everything done and got to bed last night, I was just so tired, and I really thought I'm just gonna have to skip this week. But I woke up super early this morning and decided to at least get out a short video. I really wanted to touch on this Haiti issue again after bringing it up last week. Well, if you enjoyed this video that I worked really hard at the last minute to get out, and maybe even learned something, consider subscribing with the notification bell on so you don't miss any future posts. And why not stick around for more information on cruising? Check out this video and then come back for more information designed to help you have an amazing cruise. Have a blessed week, everyone.